this video may make a lot of people upset, but as I said in my last video, I'm here to help people. And sometimes when you speak the truth, it may hurt a lot of people, but the truth must be told. So today I'm going to be talking about reparations and my take on how it should be implemented. And this is the time for it to happen, or it would never happen at all. So stay tuned to the end to find out my take on reparations and what should be done, and if it doesn't get done, how it's going to affect the Biden administration. Well, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Once again, I go by One Chief Compadre, and you're watching Chief Compadre TV, where on my channel, we talk about savings, investing, politics, and even story time. So I was reading this article by The Roots, where they were talking about reintroducing the reparation bill next week, and I want to give you my take on the policy and how it could affect the Biden administration if it does not get implemented. So I know that many people throughout the years have been pushing for reparations, and there's documents on how reparations should be implemented and who should be getting it and who should not be getting it. So I'm going to tell you what should be implemented in reparations, who should be getting it, and how it could affect the Biden administration in the second term if he does not implement this policy. So the first part, I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly why this bill should be implemented for African Americans. Now, before I plead my case, I just want to start off by saying that people are first to cite the Constitution, but yet they still won't acknowledge reparations. They say, oh, it happened 150 years ago, but yet the Constitution happened 100, 200 years ago, but yet you're still citing the Constitution and the amendments. All right, that was in
1789.
This is 2021. So if you can cite the Constitution, then you can also accept slavery happened and that something needs to be done in order for this country to heal. So let me just start with that. Now, let me plead my case on why reparations should be implemented. Now, many people started with slavery, which they should, but that's not the only reason why reparations should be implemented. Now, with slavery, after slavery had ended and black men were freed, they were promised 40 acres and a meal. Promised, yet Nowadays, people say that was a promise, that was a lie. But it was promised, and it is in textbooks. Now, after the Civil War ended, there were black men who were now free, who fought in the Civil War, who were paid, but they were paid less than their white counterparts, but they were paid. And they put that money into banks. And that money that they put into banks was stolen. So not just slavery, they were owed money, property, but also when they put their money into banks, it was stolen. Now, in World War I, after war, Germany had to pay back reparations to France and Britain. Who do you think gave them the money? It was America. America gave them money to pay back France and Britain for causing the destruction and causing the war and the casualties and everything else. They had to take responsibility for it. So they had to pay back France and Britain for the atrocities that they caused. Now, not only that, we had World War II. We had African-American men not only fought in the war, but they fought against Hitler and also fought against discrimination here in the United States. So when they came back from the war, when the war was over, they implemented the GI Bill, which many African Americans did not have the opportunity to prosper from due to segregation. So many of those African Americans did not have the opportunity to own property. Then in the 60s, we have civil rights bills that were implemented. They were implemented, but that doesn't mean that they were all followed. As you can tell, in 2021, we are still facing injustices. So those are my reasons why African Americans should receive reparations. Now, people may say that we should not wait on the government to do anything, that we should not be waiting for handouts. First of all, who said we was waiting? Who said that we don't have people out there investing and being entrepreneurs and starting their own businesses? Who said that we're waiting for anyone? This is something that is just due. This is something that our ancestors worked hard for. So it's time to come full circle and actually give back to those people who suffered and who were killed, who were enslaved for free labor. Then you have people say, you know what, this should be a loan. Why would you put a loan on something that is yours? Then we have people who say we should invest in bonds. Well, I'm here to say that we should be investing, but I don't think it should be in bonds. And I'll tell you what we should be invested in a minute. So that's my argument. Now, let me tell you what should be in the bill. Now, there's many books, there's many documents that states and talks about what should go into reparations. And maybe that is the problem. Maybe it's too many things or not enough things. So I'm going to tell you 3 things that I think we all could agree on. Education, home ownership, and entrepreneurship. I think we can all agree on those 3 things, right? So, should money be put in our hands? No. Let me give you an example of exactly how it should go. Say that someone wants to go to school, go to college. They should get 4 years free of charge. They should not have to pay for books, supplies, room and board. They should get everything paid for free. They don't have to touch the money, but they can fill out something It's kind of like a scholarship. They'll fill it out. It'll go to that particular college that they want to go to. And as long as they keep up their grades, they can have a 4-year ride. Now, when it comes to home ownership, it should not be given out as a loan. It should be given out as a percentage of a certain amount of money that goes towards home ownership. And I say that it should be at least 30% paid into a home for home ownership. Just like how they ask for 20% down, well, this is going to be 30% down on a home. So they'll get 30% taken off the 100% of that home. Now, that home has to be something they can afford. Also, they will have to take a class that teaches them about interest rates, that teaches them about saving money for emergencies. Also, it teaches them how to budget. So they will have to go through that class before they get access to that money that goes towards their home. Now, when it comes to entrepreneurship, this is how it should go. When it comes to starting their business. So here we have it again, by the root. Another subject on reparations. Well, I'll tell you this, Ice Cube was right. If we don't get this now, we never will. So it's back in the news, and I heard that it's going back on the table next week. So slavery has never been properly addressed. Reparation bills reintroduced to Congress. So let me read some of this so you can get some background information and have an understanding of why this is so important. So Juneteenth in 2019, lawmakers met with Black activists and scholars to discuss H.R. 40, a bill to create a reparation commission to examine the impact of slavery and the possibility of compensation for the descendants of enslaved Africans during a hearing by the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties. But way back then, before a seemingly endless time warp that was the year 2020, the nation was still run by Donald Trump and his Republican enablers who were all about making America great again by maintaining its traditional roots of being a land of the white people, by the white people, and for the white people. Then Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell expressed that he didn't support reparations for something that happened 150 years ago before it was even seriously considered. But now that there's a new administration running the White House and a political shift in congressional control, the bill's 2019 sponsored Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee, D. Texas, has reintroduced the legislation ahead of a new hearing in reparations. From Washington Post, the Reparation Commission would study the history of slavery, the role federal and state governments played in supporting slavery, and racial discrimination against the descendants of enslaved Africans. Economic issues are the root cause for many critical issues impacting the African American community today. Lee said the commission would make recommendation regarding any form of apology, compensation, and annulment for slavery. Lee said truth and reconciliation about the original sin of American slavery is necessary to light the way to the beloved community we all seek. The uncomfortable truth is that the United States owes its position as the most powerful nation in the world to its slave-owning past. Now, this is how it should go. Now, I'm not talking about a barbecue shop or a nail place or a hair place. No. Remember, I'm from California. And in order to build wealth, you have to be a part of Silicon Valley. San Jose, Fremont, San Francisco, okay, Palo Alto. So those are the certain places that we need to be investing in. And we should be investing in startup companies where we can start our own startup company, or we can invest in a particular startup company. And it has to be legitimate. If there's any illegal, something that is not considered a company that is actually legitimate, then there should be harsh penalties on those particular companies, and they should not have access to Silicon Valley once they do something that is detrimental to the livelihood of people who are investing in Silicon Valley. So that's the only way we'll be able to build wealth, is those three ways, and those three ways only. Other than that, there's no real way for the wealth gap to close, especially when we have $7,000 to $100,000 of our white counterparts, which is unfair. And it's time to change that. And it's time to have opportunities to actually compete with other individuals. So tell me what you think. Do you think that reparations right? Now they say that how can you really determine who should get it? Well, there are DNA tests that you can take. Last time I heard that Ancestry.com is the most legitimate DNA kit that is pretty much out there. I mean, you have a PhD Gates from Harvard, a historian who uses it. I used it before. And at least if you have 30% African descent from Africa, and you can tie that to when your ancestors came over here to the U.S. and were slaves, I think that should be the best way to determine who should get what when it comes to reparations. So tell me what you think. Do you think that people should have reparations? Do you think that this will probably be the only opportunity to actually fight for it and get it? Or do you think that there should be no reparations and that people should just try to find their own way, which I think people are already doing that. So I don't think people are looking for a handout. I think they're just looking for justice and correcting a wrong that this country has been avoiding for the last 200, 300 years. So it's time to actually do what is right than what is easy.